What if the one thing standing between you and the life you want is simple consistency? Not talent, not luck, but showing up every day no matter what. Have you ever started strong only to lose momentum after a few days? Felt the frustration of good intentions slipping away? You're not alone. The real challenge isn't in beginning. It's in staying the course when motivation fades, distractions pull, and life gets tough. This video will reveal 10 powerful secrets to help you build that rock-solid consistency, no matter what's happening around you or inside your mind. These are practical, real-life strategies that will help you break the cycle of starting and stopping, so you can finally reach your goals and become the person you want to be. If you're ready to take control and transform your habits, stay with me. This could change everything for you. Number 1, decide exactly what you want and never hesitate. You know what holds most people back? They don't really decide. They think about things. They talk about them. They even write them down. But they don't decide. And that's the difference between the life you dream of and the one you're stuck in. The moment you make a clear, non-negotiable decision, everything begins to shift. It might not shift fast. It might not be easy, but it starts. That's the power of decision. That's the first and most important secret to staying consistent, no matter what. See, your life is not waiting for you to have better luck. It's waiting for you to stop living in hesitation. Every time you hesitate, you send a message to your mind that you're not fully in. The mind, being as obedient as it is, responds with fear, doubt, and delay. But the moment you decide, and I mean truly decide, that this is what you want, and you are willing to do what it takes, you shift from being a victim of circumstances to the leader of your life. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, but I don't know what I want. That's not true. You do. Deep down, you do. The problem is, you've spent too long questioning yourself, comparing yourself to others, and avoiding the discomfort that comes with committing to something real. You've convinced yourself it's safer to stay unsure. That way, if you fail, you never really tried. And if you never really tried, you can't be judged. You can't feel the sting of defeat. That's how most people live. But I'm here to tell you, you're not most people. You are someone who is meant to live with clarity, with direction, with intention. But that only happens when you stop dancing around your goals and start taking them seriously. You have to get brutally honest with yourself. What do you want? Not what your friends expect, not what your parents told you, not what the world says is realistic. What do you want? What do you wake up thinking about? What keeps you up at night because you know deep down you're meant to do it? Don't look away from that answer. That answer is the start of everything. It's your compass. Without it, you're just drifting, wasting time, pretending to be busy, pretending to chase goals you don't even care about. That's why you struggle to stay consistent. Because your heart isn't in it. You haven't made the decision. See, consistency isn't about discipline alone. It's not about being strong every day. It's about knowing why you're doing what you're doing. That kind of clarity gives you energy. It gives you focus. It makes you dangerous in the best possible way. Because now you're no longer guessing. You're not hoping. You're doing. That's how you build real momentum. That's how you wake up with drive, with a reason to move, even when it's hard. Now here's something to remember. Deciding is uncomfortable. That's why so few people do it. It means you stop leaving the back door open. You burn the plan B. You draw the line in the sand. And you say, from this moment, this is who I am. And this is what I do. That might scare you, but I promise, that fear is your friend. It's a signal that you're finally getting close to something meaningful. Most people avoid making real decisions because they want perfect certainty. They want a guarantee. They want to know everything will work out before they take the first step. But that's not how success works. You don't get clarity and then move. You move and gain clarity along the way. You learn, you adjust, but you stay in motion because you already made the decision. And you know what else happens when you finally decide. People start treating you differently. Opportunities show up, doors open, your energy shifts. You walk into a room and people feel it. Not because you said anything, but because you're no longer split inside. There's no more internal debate. You're aligned. You're committed. That's powerful. So let me talk straight with you. If you're tired of quitting, if you're tired of starting over, if you're tired of feeling stuck, it's not because you lack motivation. It's not because you're lazy. It's because you haven't made a decision yet that you refuse to back down from. That's the truth. And that truth will set you free the moment you're brave enough to face it. You have one life. That's not a cliche, that's a fact. One shot to do something that matters to you. One shot to prove to yourself that you're not here to just exist. You're here to create, to grow, to contribute, to lead. But none of that happens until you make that first real decision. Decide what you want. Decide that it matters more than your fears. Decide that you will not live another year in hesitation. That's how consistency begins. Because the truth is, once you decide with everything in you, staying consistent gets easier. Not because the work is easy. It won't be. But because now you're not questioning yourself every day. You're not negotiating with your goals. You're not talking yourself out of your own future. That's what kills momentum. Self-doubt. And self-doubt lives in the space where decisions haven't been made. So I want you to look at your life right now. Really look at it. Are you living on purpose? Or are you drifting? Are you choosing your path? Or are you following one that someone else set for you? Are you in, or are you still trying to keep one foot in comfort? If you're in, if you're truly ready to live differently, then draw your line today. No more waiting for permission. No more hoping the timing gets better. No more settling for maybe someday. Your time is now. Your life is here. And it begins with one powerful step. Decide exactly what you want. And never hesitate. If you're tired of starting over, stop giving yourself a way out. If you want consistency, give yourself a reason so strong that nothing can pull you off course. Don't wait for motivation to show up. Show up first. Decide. Move. Own your life. Because the truth is, no one else can do it for you. And when you make that choice, I promise you, the rest will follow. Not overnight, not without struggle, but it will. Because once you know what you want, and you never hesitate, every day becomes a step forward. Every choice becomes intention in your life. Slowly but surely, becomes a reflection of that one bold decision. So decide now, not tomorrow, not next week, now. Decide like your future depends on it. Because it does. Number 2, wake up early and stick to your set plan. You will never take control of your life if you keep starting your day by reacting to it. That's the honest truth most people don't want to hear. Because it's easier to hit snooze. It's easier to scroll. It's easier to tell yourself, I'll start tomorrow. But that's exactly how you lose momentum. That's how years pass while nothing changes. You've got dreams. You've got goals. But until you take back your mornings, those dreams stay on hold. There's something powerful about waking up early. Not just the time, but the intention behind it. When you get up before the noise of the world begins, you give yourself an edge. You start on offense. You move with purpose. And you prove to yourself right out of the gate that you're in control. You're not waking up because you have to. You're waking up because you've decided your life is worth showing up for. Now, I know it's not always easy, especially when life's heavy, when your energy's low, when your motivation is nowhere to be found. But that's exactly why a set plan matters. When you know what you're waking up for, when you've designed a plan that speaks to your values, your vision, your real priorities, it pulls you up out of bed even when you don't feel like it. Because it's not just a routine, it's a commitment to yourself. The reason most people struggle with consistency isn't because they're lazy. It's because their mornings are unstructured. They roll out of bed with no clear direction, and from that point forward, they're playing catch up. The day runs them. But you don't have to live like that. You can take back the reins. And it starts by waking up early and sticking to a set plan that reflects the life you're trying to build. I'm not talking about some perfect schedule. I'm not talking about waking up at 4 a.m. just because it sounds impressive. I'm talking about being intentional. Set your own standard. Choose a time that's early enough to give you space to breathe, to think, to prepare. Maybe it's 5:30, maybe it's 6 hours. The time doesn't matter as much as the commitment behind it. When you say, this is when I start, and you follow through, you begin to trust yourself again. And once that trust is built, everything changes. Because now you're not breaking promises to yourself every morning. You're keeping them. And every time you keep that promise, no matter how small, your self-respect grows, your confidence grows. And that quiet voice in your head that used to say, you're not consistent, starts to get drowned out by action. Now think about what happens when you stick to your set plan. You're no longer guessing. You're no longer reacting to every distraction that comes your way. You're no longer overwhelmed by decision fatigue. Before lunch, because you've already decided, you've already mapped it out, you wake up, you know what matters, and you start doing. That level of clarity doesn't just change your day. It changes your life. Most people don't rise because they don't have structure. They leave their days to chance. When you live by chance, you repeat the same cycle over and over. Wake up late, rush, feel behind, scramble, and then promise yourself tomorrow will be different. But unless you make the choice to create a real plan and follow it, tomorrow just becomes a copy of today. So if you're tired of that cycle, it's time to break it. Not next week, not when you feel ready. Now, create a morning plan that starts with your highest values. Maybe that's moving your body. Maybe it's reading. Maybe it's writing down your goal. The key is to build habits that align with who you want to become, and then commit to them like your life depends on it, because it does. And yes, it's going to be uncomfortable at first. You're going to want to stay in bed. Your old patterns will try to pull you back. But every time you get up anyway, you're training your mind. You're building resilience. You're building self-command. That's not just discipline. That's transformation. There's something that happens when you start your day with purpose. You walk different. You speak different. You think clearer. And others start noticing. They won't always say it, but they'll feel it. You become the kind of person that radiates intentionality. That's attractive. That's powerful. But it doesn't happen by accident. It happens by design. It happens by waking up early and honoring the plan you made the night before. The best part, that plan is yours. You don't need anyone's permission. You don't need it to be perfect. You just need it to be honest. What matters most to you? What habits move you forward? What actions align with your mission? That's what your morning should reflect. Not busyness, not obligations, but truth. That's where strength is built. In doing the work that's aligned with your deepest values, before the world even gets a chance to distract you. Now I want you to imagine something. Imagine 30 days from now, you've woken up early every single day. You've followed your plan not perfectly, but with real effort. You've shown up when it was hard. You've done the work before the world pulled at you. Do you think you'd feel the same? Do you think your energy, your focus, your mindset would still be stuck where it is now? No, you'd be sharper. You'd be more grounded. You'd be ahead of most people. Not because you're better, but because you made a choice they keep avoiding. That choice? To take your mornings seriously. To stop wasting the most powerful part of your day. To stop snoozing on your own life. This isn't just about productivity. This is about who you become when you start your day. With strength. With clarity. With ownership. That kind of momentum bleeds into everything. Your work gets better. Your relationships feel deeper. Your confidence becomes real. Not because you're pretending, but because you're proving to yourself every morning that you're someone who follows through. And yes, you will mess up sometimes. You'll miss the alarm. You'll oversleep. That's okay. You don't throw away the plan because of one off day. You recalibrate. You adjust, but you don't quit because you've made a commitment to consistency. You've tied your identity to showing up. That's what separates the people who stay stuck from the ones who grow. So if you've been wondering why you feel like you're spinning your wheels, this is it. It's not your talent. It's not your potential. It's your mornings. They've been costing you. But the good news, you can take them back starting tomorrow. Not perfectly, but with a decision that says, I'm done waiting to feel ready. I'm ready now. Wake up early. Stick to your plan and give yourself the gift of living each day from a place of power instead of pressure. Because when you own your mornings, you start to own your life. Number 3, remove every distraction that steals your daily focus. You can't build a powerful life with a distracted mind. That's where most people lose the game. Not in talent, not in time, but in focus. It's not that you can't do what you dream of doing. It's that your attention is being stolen before you even start. Every single day, you're fighting a silent battle with noise, with temptations, with interruptions that pull you further from your potential. You've got the vision, you've got the desire, but you're outnumbered by distractions. And if you don't start cutting them out, they will cost you everything you're trying to create. People think consistency is hard. It's not. What's hard is staying focused in a world that's designed to keep you scattered. 1 second you're working, the next your phone buzzes. And just like that, your energy drops. You're no longer deep in your work. You're somewhere else. You're reacting. You've been pulled. And the worst part, you think you're still being productive. But you're not. You're stuck in a shallow loop, checking, clicking, scrolling, shifting, while the real work goes untouched. That kind of pattern doesn't just waste time, it breaks momentum. And momentum is the lifeblood of growth. When you start something and get into a rhythm, your brain syncs up, your thoughts sharpen, your emotions line up. You become fully present. But every time you get distracted, that state collapses. And rebuilding it, that takes energy. That takes time. Most people never even realize how much progress they're losing, just because they're allowing every ping and pop-up to hijack their attention. You want to change your life? Start by changing what has access to your mind. You cannot build mental strength if you give your focus away to every random thought, notification, or distraction that comes along. You have to defend your attention like your future depends on it, because it does. You can have all the ambition in the world, but if your attention is constantly being split, your results will stay small. Not because you're not capable, but because you're never fully present in the work that matters most. Now I want you to think about something real. How often do you sit down to work and check your phone without even realizing it? How often do you open a new tab, refresh your feed, or flip on something in the background to just have noise? That's not harmless. That's not innocent. That's your potential leaking out of your day in small, silent moments. And every one of those distractions comes at a cost. Maybe it's a cost you don't feel immediately, but over time, it adds up. It shows up in your missed opportunities, in the projects that never get finished, in the goals you keep pushing back. And then one day, you look up and wonder why things haven't changed. You wonder why you're still stuck. You wonder where the time went. I'll tell you where it went. It went to distractions that were never meant to serve you. See, real growth takes deep work. It takes undivided time. It takes a level of presence that most people never allow themselves to experience. And the reason is simple. Being fully present is uncomfortable. When you remove the noise, all you're left with is the work, the truth, and yourself. That's where transformation begins. But that's also where your fears show up. That's where self-doubt creeps in. That's why distraction feels easier. It lets you escape the pressure of showing up fully. But I'm here to tell you, you are capable of more. You are not meant to live in reaction. You're meant to lead your time, to own your energy, and to remove anything that doesn't move you forward. If you're serious about staying consistent, you have to get brutally honest about what's pulling your focus. Start with your environment. Is your phone always next to you? Is your workspace cluttered? Do you allow people to interrupt your time without boundaries? Because your environment shapes your behavior. If distractions are within reach, you'll grab them. That's human nature. So don't fight your nature. Design for it. Put your phone in another room. Close the tabs. Set a timer. Train your mind to focus by removing the temptations that break it. But it's not just about physical distractions. It's also about mental ones. That voice in your head that's always trying to jump to the next thing. That urge to multitask. That feeling of needing to be busy instead of effective. You've got to quiet that noise too. And the only way to do that is by practicing focus. You sit down, you commit, and you follow through, even when your mind resists. Because every time you push through a distraction, you're rewiring your brain. You're teaching it that you're in charge. Not the urge, not the noise, not the habit. That's how self-discipline grows. Not through willpower alone, but through structure, awareness, and action. And here's the reward. When you remove distractions, your work gets deeper, your ideas get clearer, your time becomes more valuable. You stop just checking off tasks and start making real progress. That kind of progress fuels confidence. It fuels purpose. It reminds you that you're not just going through the motions. You're building something real. I've seen people double their results just by removing a few distractions a day. Not by working harder, not by adding more to their plate, but by subtracting the noise. Because sometimes it's not about doing more, it's about doing less, better. So here's your challenge. Take one full day and track every distraction. Write them down. Notice what breaks your focus. Is it the phone, The TV, the endless to-do list? Is it the habit of checking messages the second they come in? Once you see it, you can start changing it, but you have to be honest. Don't justify the distractions, eliminate them. And once you start eliminating them, you'll notice something powerful. Time expands, focus deepens, progress accelerates, because now your mind has space, your energy has direction, and your day is no longer being stolen by things that don't matter. So if you've been wondering why you can't stay consistent, look here. Look at the distractions you've been allowing. Look at what you've given permission to enter your day. Because consistency doesn't start with motivation. It starts with removing everything that breaks your flow. This is your moment to take back your focus, to stop reacting, to stop giving away your power to every meaningless ping and pop-up. You were not built to live distracted. You were built to do meaningful work, to build something that lasts. But that only happens when you get serious about your attention. So decide right now. No more distractions. No more letting your time be stolen. Remove what steals your focus, and your life will start to reflect the power of your intention. Number 4, track your progress daily and celebrate small wins. If you never measure your progress, you'll always feel like you're falling short. That's what silently drains most people of their motivation. Not failure, not hardship, but the feeling that nothing they're doing is working. And the reason they feel that way, they're not tracking. They're moving through each day, doing their best. But they're not seeing the full picture. They're not stopping long enough to notice what's getting better. They're not giving themselves credit for the steps they're taking. And so their progress feels invisible. But the truth is, if you're showing up, if you're trying, if you're pushing forward, you are moving. You just haven't been paying attention. See, the mind is tricky. It doesn't automatically register growth. It remembers what's missing. It remembers what's wrong. It focuses on what you haven't done. That's how it's wired to protect you. But if you want to stay consistent, if you want to stay motivated, you can't just leave it up to your brain to notice your progress. You have to track it. You have to write it down. You have to look at it every single day. Because when you track your progress, you make it real. You create a visible record of your commitment. You take something that would otherwise fade into memory, and you turn it into proof. Proof that you're moving. Proof that you're improving. Proof that your time and effort matter. That proof becomes fuel. It builds confidence. It silences doubt. And over time, it gives you something even more powerful. Momentum. Momentum isn't magic. It's built brick by brick through consistent action. But the only way you feel it is by seeing it. And that's what daily tracking gives you. It reminds you that every action counts. Every workout, every focused hour, every decision to stick to your plan instead of breaking it. All of it matters. But if you don't track it, your brain will forget. And when you forget, you disconnect from your progress. Now, some people hear tracking and think it's complicated. It's not. You don't need apps or spreadsheets. You just need a notebook. A few minutes at the end of the day. Ask yourself, did I do what I said I would? Did I stay aligned with my priorities? What worked today? What didn't? That's it. Just honest reflection. Small, simple steps. But those steps create self-awareness. They help you spot patterns. They help you adjust. And most of all, they help you stay connected to the process. Without tracking, you're flying blind. You're relying on feelings to tell you how you're doing. And feelings are unreliable. They change with the weather, with your energy, with your stress. But data, that's steady. That's real. When you can look back at the last 7 days, the last 14 days, and see progress, even if it's small, you gain perspective. You realize you're not stuck. You realize you're further than you thought. And that realization keeps you moving. But there's another piece, just as important, and that's learning how to celebrate the small wins. Not just tracking them, celebrating them. Because if you only save your joy for the big moments, you'll spend most of your life waiting to feel good. You'll work hard, make progress, push forward, and still feel empty. Still feel like it's never enough. That kind of mindset kills consistency. It turns growth into a grind. Celebrating small wins doesn't mean throwing a party. It means pausing for 1 second to say, I did that. I showed up. I kept a promise to myself. That moment of acknowledgement tells your brain, this matters. And when your brain believes that, It rewards you with motivation. It gives you a little hit of energy. That energy builds anticipation. Anticipation builds action. That's the loop you want to live in. The loop where progress and emotion reinforce each other. Think about it. A lot of people start strong. They make plans. They have goals. But after a few days or a few weeks, not because they're weak, but because they never stop to notice how far they've come. They don't track. They don't celebrate. So the journey feels endless. It feels like effort without reward. And humans don't stick to effort without reward. You have to reward the effort now, not later, not when you hit the final goal, but today, when you show discipline, when you follow through, when you make the hard choice. That's the win. That's what builds you. That's what should be acknowledged. Not just the result, but the behavior that's leading to the result. And here's the beauty. The more you do this, the more your identity shifts. You stop being someone who's just chasing goals. You start becoming someone who lives with alignment. You start becoming someone who notices the little victories and stacks them into something powerful. That shift changes your self-image. And once your self-image changes, consistency becomes natural. Because now you're no longer forcing yourself to act. You're just being who you've already become. Now let me speak directly to those of you who feel discouraged, who feel like you've tried everything, who feel like you're always busy but nothing is changing. I challenge you, just for the next 7 days, to track what you're doing. Write it down. Be honest. Be specific. And then look at it. I guarantee you'll see patterns. You'll see wins you've been ignoring. You'll see ways you've already started to change. And when you see that, you'll feel it. And once you feel it, you'll want more of it. That's how momentum grows. Not in leaps and bounds, but in small intentional steps that get seen, get felt, and get appreciated. Don't let your mind convince you that it's all or nothing. It's not. It's something every single day. And that something adds up. But only if you notice it. Only if you value it. Only if you celebrate it. So here's the truth. Your progress is already happening. It's not waiting for next month. It's not waiting for the perfect plan. It's happening in real time. But if you don't track it, if you don't celebrate it, you'll never feel the benefit. And if you don't feel the benefit, you'll lose the drive. So protect your drive, protect your consistency, and give yourself what you need to stay in the game. Track your progress, celebrate your wins, build your confidence one action at a time, because that's how real transformation happens. Not all at once, but through steady, visible proof that you are becoming exactly who you're meant to be. Number 5, remind yourself why you started every single morning. If you forget why you started, it won't be long before you stop. That's the moment most people quit, not because they're not capable, not because the goal is impossible, but because they lost touch with the reason they began. They got caught up in the stress, the setbacks, the hard days. They got tired. They got distracted. And slowly, the fire that once burned in their chest began to fade. But here's the truth. The fire isn't gone. It's just buried. And every single morning, you have a chance to bring it back to life. You have to remember why you started. Not once in a while, not just when things are going well, but every single day. Because your reason is your anchor. It's what holds you steady when everything around you feels like it's falling apart. It's what pulls you forward when motivation is low. And it's what brings meaning to the grind, to the early mornings, to the long nights, to the days when nobody claps for you, but you keep going anyway. That reason you started, it wasn't random. It came from a place deep inside. Maybe it was a moment of frustration. Maybe it was a moment of vision. Maybe it was the pain of staying stuck that finally pushed you into action. But it mattered. It meant something. And somewhere along the way, in the noise and the routine, you stopped thinking about it. That's when you began to drift. But drifting isn't your truth. You didn't come this far to forget what called you. You didn't put in this effort just to numb out and go through the motion. You started with heart, with passion, with purpose. And if you want to keep going, you have to reconnect with that. Not by chance, but by choice, by building it into your mornings. When you wake up, your mind is fresh. It hasn't been hijacked by stress yet. That's your window. That's the moment to remind yourself of who you're becoming and why it matters. Before you check your phone, before you dive into tasks, take 1 minute, 1 breath, and bring your focus back to your reason. That reason will remind you that your time is not random. Your day is not meaningless. Your actions are part of a bigger picture. And that bigger picture is powerful because it's not just about achieving something. It's about becoming someone. The version of you that decided to start this journey, that version believed there was more freedom, more strength, more peace. And they were right. But that version needs you to keep going, to not just show up, but to show up with purpose. Think about this. What drove you to take the first step? Was it your family, your health, your dream? Was it the feeling of being stuck and knowing you couldn't live like that anymore? Was it something you saw in yourself that no one else could see? That reason still matters. It still burns. But you have to bring it to the front of your mind. You can't let it sit in the background while life piles on distractions. Every day is going to bring challenges. That's not optional. You're going to feel tired. You're going to feel stretched. You're going to wonder if it's worth it. And in those moments, the only thing that can keep you steady is your reason, not motivation, not hype. Your reason, that deep, emotional pull that says, this matters more than comfort. And don't just think about it. Feel it. Let it hit you. Let it bring back the emotion you felt on day one. Because that emotion has power. It creates urgency. It makes the work real again. It brings you back to what you're fighting for. This is where most people go wrong. They chase goals, but forget the why. They think discipline is enough, but discipline without purpose becomes a burden. You start resenting the grind because you don't remember why you chose it. That's why burnout happens. That's why apathy sets in. Not because the goal is wrong, but because the reason got lost. So make it a ritual. Every morning, before anything else, speak your reason out loud. Write it down, picture it, feel it, make it part of your routine. Like brushing your teeth, because your reason is your compass. It keeps you aimed in the right direction. Even when the path feels hard. Let me be real with you. You will want to quit. You will question yourself. There will be days you feel like none of this is working. And in those moments, your reason is your only shield. It's the one thing that can remind you, I didn't come this far to stop now. And remember, your reason doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to impress anyone. It just has to mean something to you. Maybe it's wanting to provide for your kids. Maybe it's proving something to yourself. Maybe it's building a life where you finally feel free. Whatever it is, honor it, own it, let it drive you. The most successful people in the world aren't the ones who never struggle. They're the ones who never forget why they started. They're the ones who wake up and reconnect with their vision every single morning. That's what keeps them grounded. That's what keeps them moving when everything else says stop. You're no different. You've got that same fire in you. You've just got to feed it. And you feed it by remembering, by reminding yourself what's at stake, by refusing to start your day in autopilot. That small shift in the morning, that minute of clarity, it can change your entire day. And enough days like that, they'll change your life. So here's what you do tonight. Write down your reason. Keep it close. Put it somewhere you'll see when you wake up. And when the alarm goes off, read it, feel it, let it pull you out of the fog and into your mission. Don't leave it to chance. Don't assume you'll remember eventually. Build the habit. Make it daily. Make it personal. Make it real. Because when you start your day with your reason in mind, everything gets sharper. Your choices get cleaner. Your time gets prioritized. And the person you're becoming, they get closer, one morning at a time. So don't just wake up. Wake up with purpose. Wake up and remember why you started. Then show up for that reason again and again until it's not just something you do. It's who you are. Number 6, say no to excuses, even when they feel true. Excuses will give you comfort, but they'll never give you growth. That's the battle happening in your mind every single day. The voice that wants progress and the voice that wants relief. And here's the truth no one wants to say out loud. Your excuses will sound reasonable. They'll feel valid, and they'll show up dressed as truth. But they are not truth. They're your way out. They're the soft landing you offer yourself when life gets hard. And if you keep accepting them, you'll never live the life you were meant to live. You know the excuses I'm talking about. I'm tired. I don't have time. I'll start tomorrow. It's not the right moment. I just don't feel like it today. They come in quietly, but they have power because they meet you in your lowest state and offer you permission to quit. They offer you relief. Not real relief, but temporary escape. But you pay for that escape. Every time you take it, you give up a piece of your momentum, a piece of your belief, a piece of your future. It's easy to fall for excuses because they feel true in the moment. They speak to your emotions. And when you're emotional, you don't want logic, you want relief. But emotions aren't reliable when you're tired or discouraged. That's why your standard has to be stronger than your feelings. You have to decide, I don't negotiate with excuses. I don't listen to the voice that's trying to pull me backwards. I move forward anyway. It doesn't matter how justified the excuse sounds. If it keeps you stuck, it's not helping you. People waste years wrapped in convincing stories about why they can't right now. Those stories feel safe, but they're lies, and lies don't get results. You've got to wake up and ask yourself, is this excuse worth what it's costing me? Because excuses always come with a cost. The cost is progress you could have made, confidence you could have built, goals you could have reached, and over time, the cost compounds. One skip day turns into a week. One missed opportunity turns into regret. And before you know it, your whole identity is shaped by avoidance instead of discipline. You become someone who starts and stops, someone who talks but never acts, someone who dreams but never delivers. You weren't built for that life. You were built to push through. You were built to rise. But rising doesn't happen when things are easy. It happens when you look your best excuse in the face and say, not today, I'm not falling for that again. That's the turning point. That's when something shifts inside you. That's when you stop being at the mercy of your comfort zone and start living on your own terms. It's not that strong people don't hear excuses. They just don't follow them. They feel the same resistance you feel. They get tired, they doubt themselves, but they've trained their mind to obey their commitments, not their emotions. They've made a decision that says, what I said I would do matters more than how I feel about it right now. And that decision creates consistency. Not because the path gets easier, but because you get stronger. You stop being surprised when resistance shows up. You expect it. You prepare for it. You meet it with grit. That grit is built one choice at a time. One no to the excuse. One yes to the mission. Most people never make that shift. They live at the mercy of their excuses. They start over 1,000 times. They blame their lack of progress on the plan, on the timing, on other people. But the real issue isn't the plan. It's the pattern. And the pattern is this. As soon as discomfort shows up, they fold. As soon as the excuse whispers, they listen. But that pattern can be broken. And it starts by calling it what it is. Not a valid reason, a distraction, a trap, a test. And when you recognize it as that, you take away its power. You stop negotiating with it. You stop making space for it. You act in spite of it. And here's the thing. When you push through one excuse, the next one gets weaker. You start to see them for what they are. Noise. You stop being impressed by your own story. You stop buying into your own limits. That's the real transformation. It's not in doing the hard work one time. It's in showing up over and over. Especially when it would be easier not to. That's what separates winners from wishers. This is how you take back control of your life. You stop saying, I can't because, and you start saying, I will anyway. You stop asking yourself how you feel and you start asking yourself, what needs to be done? You stop making it about your mood and you start making it about your mission. It's not about being perfect. It's about being relentless. It's about choosing your future over your excuses. Every single time. And the more you do that, the more you build something that matters. You build integrity. You build trust in yourself. You become someone who follows through. And that changes everything. Because once you start believing in your own consistency, your entire life expands. No one's coming to do it for you. No one's going to pull you out of your excuses. That's your job. You've got to be the one who says, enough. I've had enough of holding myself back. I've had enough of giving up the moment it gets hard. I'm not here to live halfway. I'm here to live fully. And that starts right now. So the next time you hear that voice, the one that says, just skip it today, or you don't have time, I want you to pause. Don't argue. Don't explain. Just smile and act. Do the thing anyway. Not for the result, but for the principle. Because every time you do that, you're sending a message to your brain. I lead here. I decide. That's real power. That's how you shift your identity. That's how you become the kind of person others can count on. Because you've learned to count on yourself. So here's your moment. No more stories. No more delay. No more excuses dressed up as logic. From this moment on, your standard is simple. Do the thing, no matter what. Follow through, no matter how it feels. Because your goals are real, your time is precious, and your future is waiting for you to stop making room for excuses and start making room for greatness. Number 7, follow one path fully before chasing something else. Chasing everything leads you straight to nowhere. And this is the trap so many fall into. Not because they're lazy, but because they're full of ambition, full of ideas, full of potential. They want to do it all. They want to win at every game, master every skill, start every project. But here's what they don't see. Chasing too many things at once doesn't make you powerful. It makes you scattered. It drains your energy. It splits your focus. And before long, you're running in circles, busy, but going nowhere. You can't plant 10 seeds and dig them up every week to see which one's growing fastest. That's how you end up with nothing. You need to follow one path fully. You need to give one direction your full attention, your full energy, your full commitment before you even think about jumping to the next thing. Because success takes time. It takes discipline. It takes depth. And depth doesn't happen when you're always distracted by the next shiny thing. And don't confuse this with a lack of creativity. You can have 10 ideas, but you need to choose one to lead with. Not because the others aren't good, but because trying to build them all at once will keep you from finishing even one. People don't fail because they're not talented. They fail because they never finish what they start. They get excited. They start strong. But the moment things slow down, they jump. They chase a new high, a new project, a new direction. And the cycle repeats. That's not consistency. That's avoidance. It's running from the hard parts. It's chasing comfort, disguised as exploration. But growth doesn't come from constant restarts. It comes from pushing through the boring middle, from staying when it gets difficult, from building when it's not exciting. That's where most people quit. Not at the start, not at the end, but right in the middle. And they justify it with maybe this wasn't the right thing after all. But how can you know if it was the right path if you never followed it all the way through? That's what kills your confidence, unfinished efforts. You stop trusting yourself because you've seen yourself quit too many times. You don't believe your own decisions anymore. But the solution isn't to jump again. The solution is to stay. Stay with the path you committed to. Finish what you started. Push through the discomfort. Push through the doubts. Give it your full focus, even when something else looks easier, faster, or more fun. Because there's no shortcut to mastery. There's no back door to success. You have to walk through the grind. You have to earn the result. And the only way to do that is with full commitment. It's not always glamorous. It's not always exciting. But it's real. And real progress always feels like discipline before it feels like success. The most successful people in the world didn't get there by being interested in everything. They got there by being obsessed with one thing, long enough to see it through. Once they built that, then they expanded, then they diversified. But they earned the right to do that because they followed through when others didn't. Ask yourself right now, what have you started but never finished? What project did you quit halfway because something else caught your attention? How many times have you said, I'm working on something, but deep down you know you're just jumping from one thing to the next, never giving yourself the space to grow through one fully? It's not about speed, it's about depth. You need to dig one well deep enough to reach water before you dig another. If you keep changing direction every time the work gets hard, you'll never know what you're truly capable of. You'll spend your life wondering why you never broke through. And the answer will always be the same, because you never stayed long enough to find out. There's a moment in every pursuit when things stop being fun, when it feels slow, when it feels uncertain. That's when your mind starts whispering, maybe you should try something else. But that voice is fear in disguise. It's not leading you to growth. It's leading you to repeat the same loop that's already held you back for years. You want clarity? Follow through. You want confidence? Finish. You want momentum? Stay on one path long enough to build it. That's how success works. Not through excitement, but through endurance. Through the quiet, consistent work that most people avoid, because it doesn't give instant gratification. Stop chasing dopamine. Start chasing discipline. Start waking up every day and saying, this is the path I chose, and I'm going to see it through. And if you're not sure which path to follow, Then pick the one that aligns with your values. Pick the one that scares you just enough to mean something. Pick the one you keep thinking about even when everything else fades. Then go all in. Not halfway, not when it's convenient. Every single day. And yes, you will have doubts. You will have urges to pivot. You will feel like you're missing out when others seem to be doing more fast. But success isn't about looking busy. It's about making progress. And progress only comes when you eliminate the noise and give your full energy to one direction. Just one. You don't need to do everything at once. You just need to do something with excellence, something with purpose, something with consistency. That something becomes your proof. It becomes the foundation you can build the rest of your life on. But it only happens when you stop jumping and start finishing. So take a hard look at where your time is going. Are you building or are you bouncing? Are you finishing or are you flirting with the idea of starting over again? Because your life will reflect the path you stayed on, not the ones you left halfway. This is your invitation to go deeper, to stop searching for the next thing, to stop distracting yourself with new beginnings, and to start building what you said you wanted from the beginning, not later, now. You are capable of more than you think, but you'll never find out unless you stay long enough to grow through the struggle. Choose your path, commit to it, and follow it. Not until it's easy, but until it's done. Because the real lure isn't in starting, it's in finishing. And once you learn how to finish one thing, you'll never doubt yourself again. Stay the course, finish the mission, then go build the next thing from a place of strength, not escape. Because one completed path will teach you more than 1,000 abandoned ones ever could. Number 8, surround yourself with people who stay disciplined. Chasing everything leads you straight to nowhere. And this is the trap so many fall into. Not because they're lazy, but because they're full of ambition, full of ideas, full of potential. They want to do it all. They want to win at every game, master every skill, start every project. But here's what they don't see. Chasing too many things at once doesn't make you powerful. It makes you scattered. It drains your energy. It splits your focus. And before long, you're running in circles, busy, but going nowhere. You can't plant 10 seeds and dig them up every week to see which one's growing fastest. That's how you end up with nothing. You need to follow one path fully. You need to give one direction your full attention, your full energy, your full commitment, before you even think about jumping to the next thing. Because success takes time. It takes discipline. It takes depth. And depth doesn't happen when you're always distracted by the next shiny thing. And don't confuse this with a lack of creativity. You can have 10 ideas, but you need to choose one to lead with. Not because the others aren't good, but because trying to build them all at once will keep you from finishing even one. People don't fail because they're not talented. They fail because they never finish what they start. They get excited, they start strong, but the moment things slow down, they jump. They chase a new high, a new project, a new direction, and the cycle repeats. That's not consistency. That's avoidance. It's running from the hard part. It's chasing comfort disguised as exploration. But growth doesn't come from constant restarts. It comes from pushing through the boring middle, from staying when it gets difficult, from building when it's not exciting. That's where most people quit. Not at the start, not at the end, but right in the middle. And they justify it with, maybe this wasn't the right thing after all. But how can you know if it was the right path if you never followed it all the way through? That's what kills your confidence. Unfinished efforts. You stop trusting yourself because you've seen yourself quit too many times. You don't believe your own decisions anymore. But the solution isn't to jump again. The solution is to stay. Stay with the path you committed to. Finish what you started. Push through the discomfort. Push through the doubts. Give it your full focus. Even when something else looks easier, faster, or more fun. Because there's no shortcut to mastery. There's no backdoor to success. You have to walk through the grind. You have to earn the result. And the only way to do that is with full commitment. It's not always glamorous. It's not always exciting, but it's real. And real progress always feels like discipline before it feels like success. The most successful people in the world didn't get there by being interested in everything. They got there by being obsessed with one thing, long enough to see it through. Once they built that, Then they expanded. Then they diversified. But they earned the right to do that because they followed through when others didn't. Ask yourself right now, what have you started but done or finished? What project did you quit halfway because something else caught your attention? How many times have you said, I'm working on something, but deep down you know you're just jumping from one thing to the next, never giving yourself the space to grow through one fully? It's not about speed, it's about depth. You need to dig one well deep enough to reach water before you dig another. If you keep changing direction every time the work gets hard, you'll never know what you're truly capable of. You'll spend your life wondering why you never broke through. And the answer will always be the same. Because you never stayed long enough to find out. There's a moment in every pursuit when things stop being fun, when it feels slow, when it feels uncertain. That's when your mind starts whispering, maybe you should try something else. But that voice is fear in disguise. It's not leading you to growth. It's leading you to repeat the same loop that's already held you back for years. You want clarity? Follow through. You want confidence? Finish. You want momentum? Stay on one path long enough to build it. That's how success works. Not through excitement, but through endurance. Through the quiet, consistent work that most people avoid. Because it doesn't give instant gratification. Stop chasing dopamine. Start chasing discipline. Start waking up every day and saying, this is the path I chose, and I'm going to see it through. And if you're not sure which path to follow, then pick the one that aligns with your values. Pick the one that scares you just enough to mean something. Pick the one you keep thinking about even when everything else fades. Then go all in. Not halfway, not when it's convenient, every single day. And yes, you will have doubts. You will have urges to pivot. You will feel like you're missing out when others seem to be doing more fast. But success isn't about looking busy. It's about making progress. And progress only comes when you eliminate the noise and give your full energy to one direction. Just one. You don't need to do everything at once. You just need to do something with excellence, something with purpose, something with consistency. That something becomes your proof. It becomes the foundation you can build the rest of your life on. But it only happens when you stop jumping and start finishing. So take a hard look at where your time is going. Are you building? Or are you bouncing? Are you finishing? Or are you flirting with the idea of starting over again? Because your life will reflect the path you stayed on, not the ones you left halfway. This is your invitation to go deeper, to stop searching for the next thing, to stop distracting yourself with new beginning, and to start building what you said you wanted from the beginning, not later. Now, you are capable of more than you think, but you'll never find out unless you stay long enough to grow through the struggle. Choose your path, commit to it, and follow it. Not until it's easy, but until it's done. Because the real reward isn't in starting, it's in finishing. And once you learn how to finish one thing, you'll never doubt yourself again. Stay the course, finish the mission, then go build the next thing from a place of strength, not escape. Because one completed path will teach you more than 1,000 abandoned ones ever could. Number 9, push through the hard days without feeling sorry. Hard days don't mean you're failing. They mean you're growing. But most people don't see it that way. They feel the pressure. They feel the fatigue. They feel the doubt creeping in, and they start to break inside. Not because they're weak, but because they were never told the truth. This process isn't supposed to be easy. It's supposed to stretch you. It's supposed to make you question how bad you want it. And if you can't handle the hard days, you'll never reach the great one. The problem is, we've been trained to believe that difficulty is a sign to stop. We've been taught that if it doesn't feel good, it must be wrong. But that's a lie. Most of your biggest breakthroughs will come wrapped in frustration. They'll come after moments where quitting felt easier. And if you give in to feeling sorry for yourself, you'll miss the lesson. You'll miss the growth. And you'll miss your shot. You don't need pity. You need grit. You need to stand up when everything says stay down. You need to choose effort when your energy is low. You need to move when every part of you wants to wait. Because these are the moments that shape your future. These are the days that build something in you that nothing else can. Everybody's motivated on the good days. That's easy. But that's not where consistency is tested. That's not where character is forged. Your true strength shows up when your body's tired, when your mind's heavy, when everything feels off, and you push anyway. Not because it's fun, not because it's comfortable, but because you made a decision to grow. And that decision doesn't get canceled when life gets tough. Too many people give up when they hit resistance. They start strong. They make the plan. They have the vision. But as soon as things get hard, they slow down. They say, maybe this isn't for me, or I just need a break. But what they really need is to stop treating discomfort like a problem. What they really need is to get out of their own way and do the work anyway. And don't misunderstand. It's okay to feel tired. It's okay to have bad days. But it's not okay to let those bad days define your choices. Feel the weight, but don't carry it into your actions. Your actions have to be driven by commitment, not emotion, because your emotions will lie to you. They'll tell you that rest is more important than progress. They'll tell you that today doesn't matter. They'll tell you to try again when you feel better. But what if better never comes? What if waiting for motivation means never moving at all? You can't afford to live that way. You can't afford to let comfort rob you of consistency. Because every time you push through, every time you refuse to feel sorry for yourself, you're stacking strength, not just physical, but mental, emotional, internal strength that no one can give you. You have to earn it. That's why you have to stop making your progress conditional. Stop saying, I'll do it when I feel like it. Stop saying, I'll push when it's easier. Start saying, I'll show up no matter what. Start saying, my word matters more than my mood. That mindset changes everything. That mindset pulls you through the storm while everyone else waits for the clouds to clear. And let's be honest, the world is already full of people who quit too soon. People who fold under pressure. People who would rather feel good now than grow strong for later. But you don't have to be one of them. You can choose something different. You can choose to stay in the game when it's tough. You can choose to train your mind to be tougher than your circumstance. You can choose to prove to yourself that the hard days don't control you. You control how you respond. Think about it. What's the cost of giving in every time you're uncomfortable? You lose trust in yourself. You stop believing your own worth. You start setting goals you don't respect. Because deep down, you know you won't follow through. That's not a mindset. That's a trap. And it leads to a life where you never quite step into the potential you were meant to live. But the opposite is also true. Every time you do what's hard, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's painful, you earn trust with yourself. And that trust becomes confidence. That confidence becomes belief. That belief becomes fuel. And that fuel carries you through the next hard day and the one after that. Until one day, pushing through isn't even a debate anymore. It's just who you are. And here's what most people never realize. Pushing through doesn't mean perfection. It doesn't mean doing everything flawlessly. It means showing up. It means staying on the path even if your pace slows. It means doing something, even if it's small, to keep the fire alive. Because momentum is built on movement, not emotion, not ideal conditions, but action. You've got to kill the victim mindset. That belief that you need things to be easy in order to succeed. You don't. What you need is clarity. You need a reason that matters more than your comfort. A purpose that pulls you out of bed when everything feels heavy. A mission that matters enough to fight for. When you have that, the hard days stop being obstacles. They become part of the process. Stop asking the world to be easier. Start asking yourself to be stronger. Stop hoping the hard days go away. Start deciding you'll rise through them. Stop looking for reasons to feel sorry. Start finding reasons to rise. That's how you separate yourself from the crowd. That's how you build a life that's real, not just imagined. And if no one's told you yet, you are strong enough. You've been through harder things than this. You've survived every challenge life has thrown at you. This moment is no different. You don't need sympathy. You don't need to wait for perfect energy. You need to move. You need to act. You need to push. Even when it hurts, especially when it hurts, because the version of you on the other side of this moment, they're waiting for you to stop holding back. So the next time life pushes, push back harder. The next time the voice in your head says, it's too much. Yeah, I can handle this. The next time you feel sorry for yourself, replace that feeling with purpose. Remember your reason. Remember your standard. Remember who you're becoming and become them. Not when it's easy, but when it's hardest. That's how you grow. That's how you lead yourself. That's how you build a life with no regrets, because you kept moving forward when it mattered most. Number 10, hold yourself accountable even when no one sees you. The real test of your character is what you do when no one's watching. It's easy to act driven when the spotlight is on. It's easy to perform when people are watching, when praise is expected, when applause is around the corner. But that's not where your life changes. Your life changes in private. Your life changes in the quiet. Your life changes when there's no audience to impress and no one to hold your hand. That's where personal power is built. In the silence, where only your word and your choices exist. Most people wait for pressure from the outside before they move. They rely on accountability from others, a coach, a boss, a partner, a deadline. But that's not real accountability. That's borrowed discipline. The day you stop depending on external eyes to keep you in check, that's the day you become unstoppable. Because the truth is, the strongest people in the world live by a standard they set for themselves, one they don't negotiate, one they follow through on, even when no one claps for it, even when no one knows about it. The question isn't what you do when everyone's watching. The question is, what do you do when it's just you? When it's 5 a.m. and you could sleep in, do you stick to your word? When no one will know if you skip the workout, do you still show up? When there's no prize, no recognition, no pat on the back, do you keep pushing forward anyway? That's the difference. That's the dividing line between those who talk about it and those who become it. And I'll tell you something that might sting. If you only follow through when someone else is watching, you're not committed. You're performing. True commitment doesn't need permission. It doesn't wait for accountability. It creates it. It builds it from the inside out. Think about this. How many times have you said you were going to do something and didn't? And how many times did no one find out, so you thought it didn't matter? But it does matter. Because your brain was listening. Your identity was watching. Every time you break your own word, you weaken your belief in yourself. You lower your standards. You tell your mind, what I say doesn't carry weight. And that message gets wired into your behavior. But you can reverse that. You can rewire that identity every time you do what you said you would. Even when it's hard. Even when you're tired. Even when no one sees it. You're building integrity. You're sending the opposite message. When I speak, it matters. That's how self-respect grows. That's how trust in yourself becomes unshakable. You don't build confidence by being perfect. You build it by doing the hard things when it would be easier not to. Especially when no one is watching. Most people live in cycles of starting and stopping. They commit when it's convenient. And they quit when it's quiet. They think no one's watching, so they cut corners. They say, I'll do it later, and believe that lie. But that behavior becomes who they are. And eventually it shows, not on the surface, in the results, in their health, in their relationships, in their success. You can't hide a weak foundation forever. You want to be respected. Start by respecting yourself. And respect isn't built on words. It's built on action. You don't need to announce your goals to the world. You don't need a social media post every time you get to work. What you need is to show up when it's just you. In the mirror. That's the arena. That's the test. And that's where you either rise or fall. Based on your own choices. If you want to be consistent, you have to stop outsourcing your discipline. You have to stop waiting for someone to remind you. You have to stop looking for someone to motivate you. Motivation fades, but self-respect, that sticks. When you hold yourself to a high standard, when you demand excellence from yourself, regardless of the circumstances, you unlock a level of power most people never touch. And yes, it's hard. Of course it is. But that's the point. It's supposed to be hard. Because the reward is real. The reward is peace. The reward is pride. The reward is walking through your day, knowing you didn't need applause to do the right thing, that you moved with purpose, that you lived with discipline, that you honored your word, even when it was just you in the silence. There's a kind of peace that comes from knowing you didn't cheat the process, that you didn't cut corners, that you didn't need validation to act with honor. That peace can't be bought. It can't be, and once you've tasted it, you'll never want to live without it. So I'll ask you, who are you when no one's looking? Who are you in the quiet moments? When the room is empty and the lights are off? That version of you, that's the real one. That's the one who writes your future. That's the one who determines what kind of life you're gonna live. Make that version strong. Make that version disciplined. Make that version reliable. Because when you can count on yourself in the dark, you'll never be shaken in the light. So from this day forward, make a decision. Hold yourself to the highest standard. Even when it's invisible to everyone else. Follow through on your word. Even when no one else will know. Choose effort, even when no one else is watching, because that is where greatness is built, in the unseen, in the quiet, in the honest, difficult, raw moments when it's just you and your word. And if you stick to that, if you live that way every day, you won't just reach your goals. You'll become someone powerful enough to sustain them. And that, my friend, is where your real transformation begins.